Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Michael Rodebarger with ExecuSpec Leadership Development. Just want to give you a little bit of an example of what our SKAN assessment does, how it functions, and just give you a picture of how we develop leaders within your organization. This bar graph that you're looking at right here is showing the results of a sample of one of our assessments, whereby an individual is showing the strengths and weaknesses of the 7 most important competencies necessary for leadership. Let me give you a bigger image of this so you get a clearer picture of what we're talking about here. So in this particular graphic, you can see the 2 leadership styles that we are really trying to get developed within your organization: transformational and servant leadership, and the 7 competencies that define them. So you can see in this particular sample that there are some strengths within those 7, and there are some weaknesses within those 7. And so what we like to do is we like to target those ones that are below that blue line, and we like to work with your team individually to get those competencies up. But at the same time, to help capitalize on opportunities to use their strengths in their working environment. But we don't just deal with these 7 competencies. We also measure and assess the personality traits that are typical within a leadership context. These 5 leadership styles are typical for personality traits. In other words, the 3 over to your left are generally coming out of an introverted perspective, and the 2 over to the right, the charismatic and autocratic, are ones that are typical for the extrovert. So we like to help people understand who they are in their personality and to recognize the strengths and weaknesses of the leadership competencies that are necessary. But here's where it goes even further. Because if we just left these bar graphs alone, if we gave you the assessment and then produced this result and gave you these bar graphs, you could understand the what, meaning what are you strong in? What are you weak in? But what we really need to understand is why. What we need to know is if these 7 competencies are really necessary for your organization to be successful, then we have to know why then are these competencies low. So this particular graphic is part of the assessment, and what it shows is the personality traits that interfere with these necessary competencies. This is the gold of our assessment because it helps people to understand. For example, in this particular sample, you can see that this individual who was working on their decisiveness in their leadership context was beginning to realize that their introverted nature of laissez-faire was interfering with their need to make decisions. In other words, because of this personality trait, they tended to back off a little bit when it came to making some of those necessary decisions for leadership. And at the same time, you can look and see with their empowering characteristic, their empowering competency, their autocratic nature began to slip in and interfere. Now, you might be thinking about this and saying, man, laissez-faire and autocratic, they are 2 different personality types, and they are indeed. The reality is we all have a little bit of everything, and some of these leadership behaviors flowing from our personalities will interfere in these necessary and important competencies. On the other side of that same coin, we have an assessment called SKAN 360. SKAN 360 is a wonderful tool to help you understand how your followers see you. It measures the same 2 leadership styles, transformational and servant, with the same 7 competencies that support them, but it gives you an idea of your followers' opinion of you in these competencies. It is a very powerful tool that not only helps you to develop the areas that your team has an opinion of about you, but it helps to develop relationships. It reconnects leaders with their followers through this open dialogue of why people have these opinions or why they have this thought about their leader. So if you're interested in knowing more about our SKAN assessments, I want you to reach out to us because these assessments are helping transform the atmosphere and culture of all of our clients in their organization. So give us a call, reach out to us. I'd love to hear from you. Have a wonderful day.